Hey, cool your jets. $340 tickets from automated speed cameras are not technocratic cash grabs from a money-hungry police state. This isn't state-of-the-art road piracy. It's not looting or revenue generation of any kind. This is all about safety. You do want your children and your grandchildren to be safe, don't you?
Don't you?
We need to embrace our system and trust our overlords. We are, after all, under their protection, right? Hey, when have our masters and their jackboots ever betrayed us? Huh? Today we find ourselves in Kersey, Colorado in Weld County. Population, get this, 1,453 souls. And the overlords in Kersey are raking in boatloads of money with this thing.
And like I said, it's for the safety of the people.
Let's take a look at this nonsense and make some comments along the way. And you let me know in the comments section if you have a speed trap like this in your town. And do you know how much revenue it's generating for your overlords?
On the road that oil built in Weld County, a warning to keep your eyes peeled. It's hard to miss the big sign a friendly neighbor posted in his yard along County Road 49, warning of a speed trap 4 miles ahead. Easier to miss the small construction sign warning of a photo radar a few hundred feet ahead.
That is true protection and service.
But it drops from 65 to 55 to 45.
And your eyes will bulge at the ticket you might get if you miss that sign.
And I was like, $340? And I was shocked.
Tracy Miller called Steve on your side after she got a photo radar ticket that didn't make any sense.
I was just, in my mind, like, this has got to be a typo.
Ashley Mrazek, who lives a couple miles up the road, says she's already gotten 6 of them, all delivered weeks after she's accused of driving too fast.
I've gotten so many $340 tickets that I just can't afford them right now.
Both of them drove through this stretch of Weld County where the speed limit reduces from 65 miles an hour to 45 miles an hour in less than a quarter of a mile.
And you know what people say? Well, stop speeding, girl, instead of stop looting, elected officials. But you don't understand, Brian. It makes people on the roadway way safer. We'll get to that in a minute.
The camera sits not far from that 45 sign.
I literally looked up the statute that says the maximum is $40. So I did write to them and say, can you explain to me where you came up with the extra $300?
Tracy still hasn't gotten a response back, but Tracy's right. A recent change in Colorado state law allows municipalities to use photo radar to issue tickets. But the law sets limits on what municipalities can charge for those tickets. $40 in a normal stretch of road or $80 in a school or construction zone.
And the city council's like, law? What law? We're not bound by laws. You are.
spot isn't a school or construction zone.
I think it's definitely a speed trap, and it's a moneymaker for the town of Kersey.
It is a moneymaker. Steve on your side learned since May the town has already made about $316,000 writing $340 tickets alone.
That's just in $340 tickets. That doesn't count all the $40 tickets. And I know that a lot of people who pass through here are out-of-towners, but think about this. The population of Kersey is 1,453. That amounts to $218 per person in 6 months. And just in $340 tickets, that's $2,110 a day. And again, this doesn't count the $40 tickets generated from this one camera. We're going to talk about that astronomical number in a minute.
Even though the town's own ordinance regulating speed cameras sets a much smaller cap on how much police are supposed to charge.
The council has said, no, the most you can do is $40 to $80.
Criminal defense attorney Jeremy Lowe says rules in Kersey are pretty clearly laid out.
There's nothing illegal about speed traps. Once you hit that 45 mile per hour zone, you need to be going at that speed limit. And if you don't, the tickets themselves are allowed. What isn't allowed is the amount of money that they are charging.
So let's be clear. There's nothing illegal about speed traps and ticketing in speed traps, but is there anything constitutional about speed traps? How are speed traps and ticketing in speed traps consistent with the Constitution, with your right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness?
Steve on your side asked the police chief, who said the town ups the charge to $340 if drivers are found going 25 or more over. Both Tracy and Ashley were clocked in the 70s, passing that 45 sign. The chief claims a carve-out in state law allows this.
Certainly don't believe the bill allows for anything over the caps explicitly already in law.
Democratic State Representative Meg Froelich helped write that law and says what Kersey is doing was not necessarily the intent of that carve-out.
This is not meant to be a revenue generator for the local government. This is supposed to be a safety component, a tool in the toolkit to get folks to slow down.
He works for
Then if you want a safety component, then let the government put up the sign that that private person did and said, hey, there's a speed trap ahead. Slow down now. You've been warned. How many people do you think wouldn't follow that sign? If it was really about safety and not about revenue generation, they would post those signs and people would slow down and there would be more safety on the road. Now, as far as the safety component, they've done these massive studies and they've shown that anytime there's one of these speed trackers or speed cameras in the area, it does dramatically reduce crashes in that particular zone by up to 49%, which is crazy. And it's a good thing to reduce crashes, but they don't have to generate revenue to do it. All they have to do is have a warning sign. They could even fib about it if they wanted to and not even have a traffic camera ahead. Just say there is one and people will just take the word of the sign and go, you know what? I don't want a $40 ticket or a $340 ticket. I'm going to go ahead and slow down. But because they're interested in generating revenue, they'll use your excessive speed as the justification to reach deeper into your pockets.
this town. He needs to follow this town's rules.
Lowe says anyone who gets a $340 photo ticket in Kersey should take it to court.
Bring up the law that shows that the most I can even charge is the $40.
Yeah, so waste your time in court. We're going to do something against our own rules, and you're just going to have to deal with the fallout and the inconvenience and taking time off of work, being away from your family, navigating through traffic to get to court. Maybe they'll tell you to come back another day and waste even more of your time. It's no big deal. No skin off our nose.
People to know if they get a ticket going through here.
Challenge it or contact Steve and say, hey, is this legal?
So the chief argues anyone driving 25 or over the speed limit would technically be committing a criminal traffic offense worth 6 points on your license and a guaranteed court summons.
Criminal traffic offense, even though there are no victims. If there is no victim, there is no crime. Here they are creating victims out of innocent people who haven't harmed anybody, damaged any property, stolen any property, or threatened anyone.
If a police officer pulled you over and gave you a ticket, these tickets don't come with any points, only that fee. When we asked the chief how this complies with his own town's ordinance, he replied that he's now reviewing that internally and he'll get back to us. I'm Steve Stager. Steve on your side, 9 News.
So Steve, for all the people that have already paid that ticket, because we saw how much money, that it has generated, will they ever get their money back? $300 over $40?
It's a good question. The state law does have that little carve out, and it'll be interesting to see if the courts say that carve out worked. But in this case, Kersey's ordinance that they wrote specifically for photo radar says you can only charge $40 in that area. So it'll be interesting to see if anybody tries to challenge that. I'd imagine somebody would have to challenge it and say, I've already paid this, but I shouldn't have had to pay this. Imagine the next court date in Kersey Town Court's going to be a little busy.
But wait, because Steve is good at his journalistic job, he does a follow-up and goes back to Kersey. And we're going to find out exactly how obscene the amount is of all these $40 tickets Kersey's been collecting with this automated speed camera. And remember, this is just one speed camera in one location in a small town with a population of 1,453 people.
We're doing everything we can to keep people safe.
Kersey's ticket trouble has nothing to do with the problem they're trying to address.
My comments mostly around safety.
Please make sure the traffic and safety of our town.
I cannot imagine all the other traffic.
Having lost my husband in an auto accident.
Listening closely to people here, it's clear this town has a speeding problem.
Are we creating another speed trap?
Logging 129 crashes in 5 years alone along this stretch of Weld County Road 49, where the county road meets State Highway 34. The spot Kersey decided to drop this photo radar camera, not far away from where we spotted a crash on Tuesday night, 30 minutes before a meeting a few miles away.
Call this meeting to order.
Kersey's town board had on its agenda the real ticket trouble, a new item discussing what we've been reporting on since Friday.
I deserved my ticket. I don't dispute that. I did dispute the $340.
While Kersey was...
That's slave talk. I deserve my ticket. I deserve to be economically terrorized, but not $340. You need to pilfer $40 from my pocket, not $340.
Issuing most speeding tickets for $40. Anyone clocked at 25 miles per hour over or more got a $340 ticket. Now you might be thinking 25 over is a lot, and it is. But this camera sits in a spot along County Road 49 where the speed limit drops from 65 to 45 in less than a quarter of a mile. If you're not eyeing those signs and doing 5 over, boom, ticket for $340.
Think about that. 65 to 45 in less than a quarter of a mile. This isn't about safety. This is about revenue generation.
A lot of people have gotten one. Since May, the town's brought in more than $316,000 in those heftier tickets.
But looking at your ordinance, it capped at the $40.80.
Steve on your side first reported a discrepancy last week. Kersey's ordinance regulating these cameras caps fines at $40, and that ordinance is cited on all the tickets. So we asked the police chief how those $340 tickets comply with the town's own law. It took a few days, but we got a rather complicated answer in a press release.
I'm going to have Stacy read the press release.
The town of Kersey recognizes the ambiguity present in subsection 1.5 of Colorado.
Before we drown in statute numbers, let me break down this word salad for you. Kersey argues the state law, which sets maximum penalties for speed cameras at $40, includes a subsection that exempts violations of 25 miles per hour or more over the speed limit. But the town argues that state law doesn't say what police departments can or should do about speeders clocked 25 or more above the speed limit on a speed camera. It is ambiguous, but other departments have solutions for people driving that fast. Further down County Road 49 near I-76, the Hudson police chief tells me these cameras only issue $40 tickets regardless of speed because Hudson's ordinance says so. Greeley's law allows for them to write $200 photo radar tickets for 25 or above. Fort Collins law says an officer will personally serve a citation and wrote into their ordinance that the $40 rule doesn't apply. Aurora will turn it over to a sworn police officer for a traffic investigation. All of these municipalities spell it out in their ordinances, unlike Kersey.
Thank you, everybody, for your patience.
The Kersey Town Board met behind closed doors for about an hour and 15 minutes Tuesday night to get legal advice on our questions about their law.
You should have got legal advice before. This sounds to me like the town of Kersey was trying to find out exactly what they could get away with. And then this guy with this news crew came along and then shed light on the entire thing. And they had to pivot, do a 180, apologize, and kind of suspend the $340 rule.
Then,
after our discussion, we have considered pausing.
They decided to act, pausing those $340 tickets for now.
We are going to pause that.
Driver's clock going over will still get a $40 ticket in the mail in line with Kersey's law. So what about the 931 people who have already paid those $340 tickets? The town board didn't really seem to have issue a whole bunch of refunds. It doesn't seem like they're going to do that, saying they still believe that they were following state law with those larger tickets. By the way, the camera has been pretty effective in that area. Kersey says since that trailer went up, they've gone from 1,800 tickets a day to 450 a day.
Now think about this. That's 450 tickets a day. Let's just take it at the lower sum of $40 a ticket. That's 40 times 450 is $18,000 a day. $18,000 times 150 days, which is 6 months, is $2.7 million in windfall revenue generation for a city with a population of 1,453 people. If that's not highway robbery, I don't know what is. And again, the lion's share of that revenue probably comes out of the pockets of out-of-towners who are not familiar with the area, but this is unconstitutional revenue generation nonetheless.
So it's making some progress. I'm Steve Stager. Steve on your side.
And I get that, but the part of your story that I can't shake is where they put the camera.
Yeah,
you said it was a quarter of a mile from
where? It's less than a quarter of a mile from where it goes from 65 to 45, and that camera sits right beyond the 45 mile per hour sign. The chief says it waits about 100 feet before it takes a photo of your car. But if you haven't been paying attention to the speed limit sign, so if you're driving along there, pay attention because you should be slowing down. But if you haven't, and you were going 5 over in a 65, all of a sudden you're doing 70 in a 45, which builds a bigger ticket. It'll be interesting to see what Kersey does if they decide to change their ordinance and allow for a larger penalty for people driving that fast. But it'll be a tricky situation kind of moving forward.
I just want to see their faces of the people getting caught, because when you see that number change, you're like, ugh.
I know. Well, in a lot of these cases, a lot of these people weren't getting their tickets for weeks. after the violation. Some people told me they got it in September and then they didn't get it till later in October to see that actual fine. And there are a couple of people who kept driving through that area and got more tickets since then.
Ouch.
So.
Just another way that city officials can use law enforcement agents and technology to serve and protect the crap out of you. Leave your thoughts about this for the world and the global thought police in the comments section below. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, hit the bell notification icon, give it a thumbs up, share it with everybody you know, grab a shirt, maybe become a channel member if you really appreciate the content. But you got to remember, the government is that parasitic, psychopathic, criminal, violent, thieving gang you were afraid would take over in the absence of government. I'll see you in the next video.